So, Neil and I wanted to try another vlog and do that. We really enjoyed it last time, better than we ever expected we would. And I think it's because we were able to be ourselves and talk about things that we just talk about, at breakfast or lunch or laying in bed at night or whatever. So anyway, so we had another conversation this morning at breakfast, and so we thought we would talk about it, a little bit in a vlog here. So both of us have been struggling, more so, I guess, this week with the same issue. We realized it was a lot of the same issue, but we were responding to it very differently. Mine was more of not dealing with it, like suppressing it, not wanting to bring those emotions out. And so I tried to get him to deal with it the same way. So when he would bring his emotions out, I started feeling uncomfortable, and I just wanted him to respond like I did. And I was telling myself I was responding the right way because I wasn't acting sad or depressed, or I was putting a smile on, trying my best to, when in reality I was feeling the same way he was. I was just responding a little different. So anyway, I was caught myself really trying to fix him, but it wasn't so much fixing him as it was fixing how he responded to those things.
Yeah, and it is interesting that we could be, and I think this is the case a lot of times. Same stuff going on inside, but the outward expression looks really different. In my counseling others, I see that a lot. People on the outside, it looks very different. When you start digging, you see some of the same things that we all struggle with. It just shows up differently for different reasons. But yeah, for us, it's I don't tend to put on the happy face. That mask is not one that fits very well for me. So I use other masks. But yeah, this week, and we kind of argued. I think had some disagreements over this. Interestingly enough, when we're struggling with the exact same thing, but but it's I don't like the way she's hiding, and she doesn't like the way I'm hiding. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. But we both really realized that we were feeling kind of hopeless. Well, I don't want to say we are feeling kind of hopeless. I don't want to act like we got it figured out over breakfast this morning and we're not hopeless anymore. But
feeling hopeless.
Feeling hopeless. Yeah, there's a big difference in feeling hopeless, and because we're actually not hopeless, but we're continuing to feel hopeless. And a few things triggered. I was listening to a podcast sermon this morning from our friends we've mentioned before, True Face, that we really enjoy, and a blog we had both read this week from a place called Finding Balance. And we realized that the feelings of hopelessness, or for me, what came up was the feelings of hopelessness were really coming from this mundane life. And that's where I feel like I'm at right now, is just this mundane life. I'm never going to get to where it is I want to go, where it is I want to be. So I just continue, every day just to live life, go to bed at night, wake up the next morning, I do it all over again. I say I'm living for the weekend, but then when the weekend comes, I'm just still the same way, and then it's Monday again. And there's a lot to that. A couple of things. One, I feel like when I get there and I go to a place that I can think, whether it's when I'm in yoga or whether I'm running or cleaning house or whatever, whenever I actually take some time to think about what's going on, I can normally figure out what's going on in my heart, what that thing is that's driving me to feel the hopelessness and all that. But then I never go any further than that. So the next day, it's just the same thing. And part of me kind of was looking at that as a test from God, him just saying constantly, well, I'm just continuing to do these things until you get it, figured out. And so I was like, okay, well, fine, I'll just have to live this mundane life until I can ever get to where it is I want to go. And then another part of that was I was realizing that where it was I wanted to go was based on expectations that I was setting for myself. And I was expecting myself to look like other coaches that I talk to or read about, or our business to look like other counseling coaching businesses that we, talk to people about. And anyway, so I was setting expectations. So just kind of felt hopeless that this mundane life, this was just how it's going to be till I died, and then I got to, enjoy heaven. So, do you have anything you want to say about that before I read the scripture?
Yeah. One thing you said about that you are able to figure out what's going on, you're able to analyze it. I think it's important to mention how much has gone into you getting to that point where you can do that.
That's true. I guess I tend to brush that off.
Well, I mean, it's okay. But for a lot of people, I think they're not quite at that point where they know how to do that or where to start with that. You're at this point now where you've had some really good experiences. God has shown you some things, and you have to fill in the blanks here. And just want to point out that that was a process to get to that point. Years and years of knowing, for instance, what lie it is that you tend to believe, that struggle, and knowing your signs and symptoms. Because like for me, I mean, I don't always catch it quickly, but I mean, I know when I get like this that somewhere in the midst of this is that fear of failure, and that not true identity that I tend to cling to or believe sometimes about myself being a failure, or the belief that I can't trust somebody, with me because I'm just too messed up. So yeah, I know that that's where it goes, and I can find my way there now. But gosh, 10 years ago, it would have taken me I would have had to sit down with somebody to really help me figure that part out.
Well,
so
we did. That's how we
did.
got where we can figure out our lives. We did actually sit down with other people and trust them with us and go there.
Right.
So yeah, I hate that. I guess I was brushing that part of the journey off, but
that's just where you're at now.
That's true.
Yeah, you're just at that point where you're okay. I figured this stuff out. Now what do I do now? Right. And that is frustrating.
Right. And I think I was focusing on talking about the mundane life. I was focusing on, okay, how do I experience life? How do I live life and not look at it as mundane and not get depressed and then have to put on a happy face and then do it all over again. And I realized I was focusing on that. And this one blog we read this week, we both read it separately. And then, both emailed each other about how it was hitting home to us. So she, her basis of her blog was Lamentations 3:24. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for him. And then she talks a little bit about how there's a part of us that no human achievement or person can complete. And when we're trying to force satisfaction through means we can control, it will only leave us feeling empty and afraid. So I was trying to force not having a mundane life, force myself into how to not have the mundane life, how to not get depressed about it, how to experience every little step of this journey, and how to not look at it as a test from God, and how to just how to do these things, how to do these things, how to do these things. And it was actually a great reminder when we read that, we've talked through it a little bit, that it's not, I'm focusing on something else to do and some other step to get to, some other place to go. And not on the fact that, you know, God is not always testing me. He's not putting me through this mundane life just to prove a point when I do get to where it is He wants me to be. Um, you know, but that I can experience life even in the mundane. Right now, that's where I'm at. I'm in the mundane right now. And even though, you know, it sucks sometimes, I don't want to be there, that's where I'm at right now. And I think instead of trying to change my surroundings, my circumstances, um, when I do that, I am going to feel hopeless and forget that there is hope, because, like the scripture says, the Lord is my portion. And so I start relying on other things to be my portion. And the cycle starts all over again, and all I'm focused on is the mundane.
Yeah. And we talked about earlier, before we turned the camera on, that how, you know, this is a broken world that we live in, and we all have circumstances at times that are very difficult, and you know, right now yours and mine is a lot of mundane, monotonous, just the drudgery of getting up and it being the same thing every day, and just struggling with that. But for somebody else, it may be a loss of some kind, or a sickness, or whatever. And I tend to want God to fix that for me. And I may not use that word, but I want Him. I may say, God, just show me my way out of this thing. Make this better somehow. And we had talked about earlier that He may not change the circumstances right now, and He may not ever change that particular circumstance, but not in this life. But we can trust, and I think that's part of the fight of faith in this, and taking the steps of faith is trusting that He is working in me in the midst of this circumstance and this mundane thing and the loss. He's not doing this to me to teach me a lesson necessarily. That He's just He's at work relationally. Like if you're struggling with something, that I'm there with you. I may not have an answer for that, but just my willing to be there with you does something for you. Gives you something that it reminds you you're not alone, and also that, you know, God does have a plan. I mean, God is working His purpose in our lives, and it may not be exactly, well, we can't even see that He's doing that. Maybe we can't see Him working in us at times, or in the things that seem meaningless, as Solomon said. He talked about things appearing meaningless in his writings in Scripture. That God will make meaning where it seems like it's meaningless. It's like He enters into the brokenness of our situation, our circumstances, and He works something in that. He's a miraculous God. He does really big things. He does things really big, and trusting that He is there. He is enough. And I'm talking to myself here, because this is obviously something we've already told you that we're struggling with, is trusting these truths, and trying, you know, really wanting to live these truths and experience these. But sometimes we don't, and what to do in the midst of those. So we're going on 14 minutes here, so we're wanting to keep these things short. So anything else you want to say? All right. Well, thank you again for listening, and we'll be back.